Lay down. Come on. Come on. Off. Off. Okay. Off. Down. She's trying to force me to pet her. I don't really want to pet her right now. I want to be talking with you. Yes, I've been neglecting to do my job as far as making videos. The problem is, my memory's not so good, and I'll admit it. I'll come up with ideas, think, yeah, that's a good video idea. I need to say that. So basically, the most important thing I want to tell you is that we got a stupid buffoon for a president. Now, you may think you already know that. Well, here's the real problem. The United States has busted both those Nord Stream pipelines. You know, the Russian pipelines carrying natural gas. Yes, we did that. And how do we know? How do I know we did that? Who benefits from it? Who else would be motivated to do it? Who else would be able to do it? Now, here's the real problem. Biden himself gave it away a few weeks ago. A reporter asked him a question and he doubled down. In his answer, he said something about somebody would have to do something about the Nord Stream pipelines, meaning basically take them out. The reporter asked a question. He basically said, oh, we can do it. We can see to it. Basically, it was one of those sorts of statements. I don't remember it exactly. No. Off. You're out of your cage. Off. 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 Now. Off. Being a bad dog. Kennel. Kennel? She doesn't want to go in the kennel. What did I say? Kennel. Now. Oh, you're going to jack. She's going to act up. What I want you to know is that you've got a president who telegraphs what they're going to do and basically admits to this act of war he's going to commit. And he's not empowered to be at war, in case you're wondering. But the stupid-ass Congress wants to do it because the bankers, the guys that control these congressmen, Congress ladies, want them to have this war. Why? Because they make money off all sides. Not so much Russia, because Russia kicked those banksters out. But we have them running our nation today. More freedom in Russia, more liberty in Russia, far more honesty and nobility in Russia than there is in the United States today. Kennel! Stay in the kennel. I should close the door on it. I love my puppy dog, but this is too much. I gotta close it. Like a child, she knows I'm busy, so she's gonna act up. So we did the Nord Stream pipes. That's all there is to it. Who else is gonna go down 2,000 feet and blow that sucker up? Who else has the capacity to do it? Certainly the Chinese wouldn't do it. The Russians wouldn't do it. The Germans wouldn't do it. Would the British do it? I don't think so. Who benefits? We've got to stop throwing our weight around like this, especially with these neocons in control of the country. The electorate's not in control. All those congressmen and senators do is put on a great show for us all. They keep you entertained. There's a few that are really your decent statesmen. Josh Hawley impresses me quite a bit. We've got a lot of other problems going on, and there's things I can't bring up here because YouTube won't allow me to bring them up. So I'm going to do a little bit of searching. In my studies as a psychologist, I studied suicide, suicidology. And back then it was pretty simple. But today it's far more complicated, and I'd like to discuss that with you. But I have to be careful how I do that. Chuck Schumer, Senator Schumer, that Zionist jackass Israeli dual citizen, is he a dual citizen? I bet he is. If he's not, somebody let me know in the comments. I don't think any Israeli dual citizen should be even working as a janitor for this government, much less hold elected office. They all ought to be thrown out of office. Matter of fact, I don't think there should be such a thing as an Israeli dual citizen. The Supreme Court created that critter, and that was a mistake, just like them going after abortion was a mistake. Oh, and I want to talk to you about men's rights, men's abortion rights. We men need to have abortion rights. Our rights have not been addressed. These stupid women say, it's my body. Guess what? It's not completely your body. And I want my rights. It's part of my body too. And I don't have a choice. If I want a child, I have to let you take it to term. I have to let you take care of it. I believe that a man ought to be consented. And if he doesn't consent, if he refuses to consent to the abortion, he needs to be able to have the option. He needs to be able to exercise the option. I want the child. I'm taking the child, sole custody. Yes, you're carrying the child to full term because I don't have any other choice. It's the only way I'm going to have this child. And then you're not going to murder my child. I'm going to take my child. And the court should hand it right over to the man. Men need to have their rights. We've never had any abortion rights. It's assumed we want to kill the baby. It's assumed we don't want the children. You stupid women make all kinds of assumptions about us. You would be amazed how many of my friends would tell you how upset they would get with a woman to find out that she was going to or she has aborted his child. And these women think, oh, it's just your decision because it's your body. It's not your body. And we can argue. It's part of the man's body too. You didn't get there all by yourself, by your lonesome. So how about it? How about if even a married woman, I think there has to be the consent of the husband, the consent of the father, the consent of the boyfriend. I think we need to have a signed off consent. And if we aren't willing to sign off, we men should be able to go to court, tell the judge, I don't want the abortion, I want the child. Tell her, I get the child, she's going to bear the child. Why? Because it ain't your body. It's the child's body. Part mine, part yours. But we're giving it to the child, to whom it belongs. And if you're wondering about the moment of conception, it does occur right when the egg is fertilized, when the sperm and the egg merge. There's a brilliant flash of light produced by that. And the bigger the flash, the more important that soul. The more intelligent that soul. The more talented. I don't want to get carried away with other things. I think what I want to tell you is that we men need to have our rights. Men, abortion rights need to be established. I also think we need to wake up and realize that we have a jackass in the office of the presidency who already revealed to the whole world before they took out these pipelines that we were going to do it. He's a dumbass. He's not competent. And here we have Vladimir Putin talking about nukes. And the Russian people are totally behind him. You need to understand, the Russian people and Vladimir Putin say this is an existential threat to them. This challenges their very existence, their very survival. So that's why they say they will go to nukes if they have to. You and I aren't getting the full news. You trust these news people? Do you trust these channels? These mainstream channels, or even the secondary ones? They're all controlled by the Khazarian mafia. They're all controlled by the bad guys. They lie to us. They manipulate us. We don't get the truth. There is no oversight. There's no public input. The electorate hasn't been in charge of this country for more than a century. Since at least 1913. And here we have this dumb bitch wants to challenge the Electoral College. Why does she want to do that? Well, basically, her dad sat in the White House giving orders, taking down the Twin Towers. He was a major player in that. He helped execute that thing all the way down. He had a more active role than the president did. The president just read some stupid book, held upside down to the children. It was a prop. It was a show. While his vice president called the shots and helped our enemies, and that would be Israel, by the way, and the deep state, take down the trade towers. That's right. And you people are busy worshiping Israel, worshiping the Jews. I got news for you. They aren't even the chosen people. When will you get off your ass and read the Bible? When you do, you'll realize there were no Jews back then. Now, that's not to say all Jews are bad. I mean, I've been accused of anti-Semitism. For God's sake, I'm a Semite myself. How can I be against myself? I'm more Semitic than most of those people that are in Israel that call themselves Jews are. You need to understand things got really mixed up in the last millennium or two. Matter of fact, about 650 BC, 722 BC, during that period of time, that's when there were great migrations out of Israel. Well, actually, Israel got defeated. The Assyrians took them out. And then the Babylonians defeated Judah down south, and they took those out. And then the house of Israel broke free and went across the Caucasus mountain range. That's how come we're called Caucasians. We're named after the Caucasus Mountains, and broke into Europe and the rest of the world. So when these pastors on these big box churches tell you you're a Gentile grafted in by grace, it's a lie. You are the real deal. I am the real deal. We're from the northern tribes of Israel, the northern 10 tribes. Although we have all of the tribes over here in the United States at this point. And you guys think that you have to bless the Jews, right? Hey, Abraham wasn't a Jew. There was no such thing as a Jew back when Abraham was around. Abraham and his children were blessed. That's us. It says in the Old Testament, I will form a new covenant with the same people with whom I formed the old covenant. That's Yahweh saying, I'm going to form a new covenant with the same people. So you're running around, most of you call yourself Christians. You don't understand. It's a racial slur. It's a cuss word. It's a really ugly word when read in proper context in the history of the Bible. Even Felix tells Paul, Paul, you almost made me, convince me to convert and become a Christian son of a bitch. Forgive my French. I'm combining things to make a point. The point was the believers did not call each other Christians in Antioch. They were called Christians by the pagans. And the pagans were putting them down because they didn't think much of them. They didn't have high regard for them at all. So they called them Christians. And remember, he who is hung upon a tree is cursed. It says that in the Bible. It's a passing scripture. I don't put much weight on it, except it says what it says. Okay, I got a little gift for you since you hung out with me this long. I had a vision. I can't remember when I had this vision. I believe it was in a dream. I don't keep notes on these things. My mistake. Big mistake. In my vision, I was at Golgotha, and there were 2 Roman soldiers lifting up the stick, the tree, the stake, the cross, and dropping it into the hole at Golgotha. And when the 2 soldiers lifted it up and dropped it in there, and it went into the earth and locked in, the earth slowly began to roll. And that cross with the Messiah on it rocked from Israel all the way north to the North Pole. Those Roman soldiers stood there on each side of the cross, each one on one knee, kneeling, looking up, fearing and wondering, my God, what have we done? Because at that point they knew. Folks, you want to support my channel, buy my Bible? Get these Bibles out there. The Bibles are about half price. Actually, they're about 1/3 price. We got them printed up in Belarus a year before this stuff happened in the Ukraine. We can't do any more deals with Belarus. We can't get them to print up Bibles and ship them to us again. I think that's accurate. I think Biden stopped that. No, he didn't do it just because he wanted to shut this Bible down. I'd love to be able to say that, and pretend that we're persecuted or something, draw more attention. Oh, by the way, that's another thing we need to talk about is sociopaths. We're dealing with a sociopathic culture. And what they will do is they will accuse you of what they are doing. They will project upon you their crap, their guilt, their sin. They will also give you the pity party. They'll be the victims. They'll make themselves into the victims. That is the telltale sign of a sociopath. We're dealing with a sociopathic culture. Not just individuals, but a whole culture that is sociopathic. The best name for them is the Khazarian Mafia, given by Mike Harris, who ran for governor as a Republican in Arizona a long time ago. He tracked them down pretty good. But if you read the Bible, we track them down all the way to the garden, where their father, Gadriel, the fallen angel, the leader of the fallen angels, the 200 that were cast to the earth, was one of the 5 leaders. He seduced Eve. At least that's what Eve tells us. And as a result, she got pregnant. She gave birth to Cain. Cain was a hybrid. He wasn't a man in the sense of what a man was back then. He wasn't an Adam. He was half satanic and half Adamic. And he murdered his half-brother Abel. He was a murderer from the beginning and a liar. Buy my Bible. Like this video. Share this, please. Get it out there. Leave me some comments. I know some of you got some pointers for me. Instruct me. Teach me. Hey, I got a birthday coming up next month. And I'm probably a lot older than what you think. Yeah, I've been pumping iron too today. I'm not going to flex my bicep for you, but it's a lot better than it was a couple months ago. Let's put it that way. I'm pleased. It's still not where I've had it, but it's a lot better than it was a couple months ago, even 6 weeks ago. May Yahweh bless you. I hope this video helps you. Hope you understand. And by the way, this goes up on the Dr. John Taylor Kent channel. I've got other matters to cover for the other Awakening Israel channel. This channel, I prefer to do the political stuff, the current event stuff. The fact that we're waging war against Russia. And in a certain way, we're waging war against Germany too, because that's the economy we're destroying. It's horrible what these neocons have done. I wonder what it is that's going on in those biological labs that we set up all the way around Russia. We built on their borders all the way around these level 4 biohazard labs. And there's a lot of them. And there's several in Taiwan. And the Russians say it's an existential threat. And you and I aren't allowed to know. Putin said he'd tell the rest of the world when the world was ready to listen. I certainly want him to talk. I'm ready to listen. I want to hear what it is that's going on. Because if these jackasses in D.C. are getting us into a nuclear war, I sure would like to stop that. I have no doubt that we'll wreak havoc on them, but they're going to wreak havoc on us. I don't think it's worth it. I think there's plenty going on. The Earth is losing its magnetic field. It's down to about 80% of its normal charge. And by the way, that all started with the Carrington event. You know, back in the 1800s, where the telegraph wires picked up an electric charge and they started fires at the terminals and fires along the lines. That's when we started to lose the magnetic field to our planet. And it does this every 12,000 years, like clockwork. This is the day of the Lord. And what we're going to cover in the other channel, I'm glad I'm talking now because I remind myself, we're going to be talking about the day of the Lord. And don't you go thinking there's just one day of the Lord. We've already had Yahshua here a couple of times. Maybe going to have him 3 or 4 times. But from what I can see, there's at least 6 different days of the Lord in the Bible. So that's what we're going to cover on the other channel. Yahweh bless. Yahweh bless.